Alright everyone, it's time for an extra video today actually, because the big news at the moment is that Trump has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. This did happen before, and it's funny because other than the fact that a bunch of people on the left and neoliberals like Democrats are really up in arms and they're fuming over this, the same as they do when their mugshots are released by Andy Ngo, other than that it's almost a non-story. Number one, If Nobel were alive today, Alfred Nobel, who, by the way, invented TNT and was really upset about the fact that it was being used to kill people, and that's sort of why this exists, if he were alive today, he wouldn't even recognize the concept of the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe for math or science or something like that, but he wouldn't recognize the Peace Prize. Obama famously got one for existing, and that was quite some time ago at this point. That's number one. And number two, you've got to understand it's not really a big thing because these nominations are put forward fairly regularly by people who are serving in national politics. And it's funny to watch the legacy media say, well, and I can't pronounce the name of the Norwegian MP that actually put Trump's name forward. Gel, I think would be it, or Gele, or something like that. Apologies, I'm not, Scandinavian. I can't pronounce his name, but he put forth Trump's name for the Nobel Peace Prize, and the basis of this is the Israeli-UAE peace plan. Now, this particular plan, if there is a normalization of relations between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, it is one less significant flashpoint in the world. He's been nominated before for a Nobel Peace Prize. I think there were several, according link in the description there. I think there were a couple of nominations of Trump that were rescinded because it wasn't exactly clear that they were properly put forward in the first place. Trump deserves a peace prize, and I wouldn't say just for this, for the Israeli-UAE thing. He is the first U.S. president in quite some time to not engage in overt warmongering. He's the first U.S. president since the 1950s, or at least the early 60s, depending on how you construe JFK's remarks, to call out the military-industrial complex, to call out war profiteers. He's the first president in quite some time, at least since kind of, you could argue, Ronald Reagan, but I would argue before that, who engaged in actual America Firstism and caring about the actual working class, middle class here, as opposed to invading other countries, taking their resources, blood for war, blood for oil, blood for profit. What I would say here is that Trump deserves it, but he should reject it. If in the off chance, and it's really, like a 1 in a million chance, if Trump is actually selected by the Nobel Committee, if he actually wins, and again, the chances are very remote. These people viscerally hate him. They're all globalists. They want a communistic world order. If by some miracle he manages to get through, he gets the Nobel Peace Prize, if I were Trump, I would reject it. What I would do is I would show up and I'd give a pretty little speech, prepackaged, about 30 seconds long, and say, look, Alfred Nobel wouldn't even support you people. You gave it to Obama despite the fact that he droned tens of thousands of people. You don't care about peace. The purpose of the committee is completely lost. There's no reason to have this prize. Take the money and shove it up your ass. It's not like Trump needs it anyway. Who cares about the Nobel Prize at this point? They give it to weirdos all the time. It's meaningless. As far as like math and science and stuff like that, stuff that's very concrete, it makes sense. Okay, you're giving a grant to this mathematician. They solve some problem that's been in people's heads for 200-300 years that a computer 10 years from now will be able to solve in 10 seconds. But you're a genius essentially. Okay, we're giving you a grant. That makes sense. The Peace Prize doesn't, because it is inherently politicized based on Western politics anyway. Trump can come out, therefore, and call out the military-industrial complex, not start any new conflicts, although, we've still got some that we're involved in. We're still in Afghanistan. We're still kind of in Iraq, although on a very limited basis. Our troops are still scattered around in these other places. But Trump has not added to that fire. He has done everything possible to try to calm the world down. He has done a good job on that, but it doesn't really matter now, does it? Who cares what the Nobel Committee thinks? I would wish that Trump would actually go further. I wish that he would unilaterally withdraw our troops from multiple theaters, but unfortunately, in this weird, screwy day and age, He actually gets stonewalled by the Democrats that spent 2 decades talking about no more war for oil, no more blood for profit. They stonewall him when he wants to withdraw troops now. It's really funny to see, actually. And it was funny, again, to see them call this Norwegian MP far right. The Guardian article and some of these others. Well, this far right MP nominated Trump for the Nobel Prize. Don't worry, everyone. It's not that. It doesn't really mean anything. It does. It means that somebody in a legitimate governing position who has been duly elected on, a national level has decided that Trump should deserve this. There is a conversation to be had, but again, it goes way past the Israel-UAE thing. The Israel-UAE plan is good. The fact that they were willing to normalize relations and establish diplomatic contact, that's wonderful. That's one last nuclear flashpoint in the world. Israel has several hundred multi-megaton nuclear weapons with nuclear triggers that were taken from the United States, but we'll get past that for the moment. They have a large nuclear stockpile. It's on the order of India or Pakistan. It's bigger than what we see in North Korea, and everyone freaks out whenever they fire a missile. That being said, it's like a 1 in a million chance that Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves it, but it doesn't matter who deserves it. It matters who the Nobel Committee believes deserves it, and it's stacked with people who, by and large, they're not going to like Trump's populistic policies. If they give it to him, he should refuse it. He should stand on principle and troll them, and it would be the most legendary thing ever. And it'd be funny, just imagine a situation where he wins it, but then he loses the election, and civilian Trump goes in there and basically says, up yours. That would be pretty funny. That's about all. Peace out.